Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav, and today we are going to start learning WebdriverIO. This is going to be very easy and very interesting, and I will start from scratch. So do not worry if you are completely new, if you are a complete beginner to WebdriverIO or to automation testing. I will start from scratch and we will go up step by step. So let's get started. And in this session, we will see what is WebdriverIO. We will see the features of WebdriverIO. We will see what are the prerequisites, the hardware and the software requirements to set up WebdriverIO project. We will then do the project setup and we will install all the required libraries. Then we will learn how to create tests in WebdriverIO framework and how to run the tests. And then we will see how to generate and open allure reports. So with this, let's start with what is WebdriverIO. And just in case if you feel the pace of this video is slow or fast, you can always set the speed from the settings of this player. And I will put all the links, all the notes, all the quiz links in the description of this video. In the description, you can also find the timeline. So just in case you want to skip or jump to a particular topic, you can use the timeline. So WebdriverIO is an automation framework that we can use for testing the web browser and mobile applications. We can test all the web applications on browser and mobile, and we can also test hybrid and native mobile applications on Android and iOS, both on a real device and on emulators. And it is free and open source. Now, free means you can use it freely. You do not have to buy a license or pay anything for using WebdriverIO. And open source means that the source code of this project of WebdriverIO is also freely available. So you will find a GitHub link of WebdriverIO where you can see all the source code. This is owned by a nonprofit organization called OpenJS Foundation. And if we look at the features of WebdriverIO, in WebdriverIO, we can use WebdriverIO for testing all the web applications, including the modern web applications which are written in front-end JS frameworks like React, Angular, Vue, etc. So this is one of the very good feature. In earlier or in traditional tools of automation, we sometimes face issues while dealing with objects of these Angular and JavaScript frameworks, but in WebdriverIO, you can directly access and work with all these objects in all these frameworks. We can do testing on hybrid and native mobile applications, both emulator and real devices, iOS and Android. And then we can also test native desktop applications, example of applications written in electron.js. So this is WebdriverIO, and one of the major advantages here is we can also work with shadow DOM objects. So these are the objects which are difficult to find and access and work with, but in WebdriverIO, we can access these objects and work with them. We can also work with objects of React framework, Angular framework, etc. So this is at a very high level what WebdriverIO is and its features. If you want, you can take a screenshot of this screen and keep it handy with you and go through it several times. So going to the prerequisites, the software and the hardware requirements. So you can use any of your laptop, any of your PC that you are using. So the hardware requirements are very basic. You just need any desktop, any machine, any laptop with minimum 4 GB RAM and minimum 5 GB free space. Now the free space will also depend on how what all you are going to do in your project. But for now, 4 to 5 GB free space will be enough. So you can just check it. It is a very basic requirement. You can just start with any laptop or desktop you're working with. In case I go to my Windows system, and if I want to check the RAM, I will go to my computer or this PC and do a right click and go to properties. And here I can check the installed RAM is 8 GB and this is a Windows system. And just to check the hard disk space, I can go to my computer or this PC and I can see all these drives and the free space available. In case you are on Mac, you can go to this Apple icon and say about Mac, and this will show you your memory. And if you want to check the disk space, you can check here in the storage. So you can check your hardware requirements. Now, coming to the software requirements. So we know we need Nodejs. WebdriverIO is a Nodejs application. Node.js project. So we will note Node.js 12.16 or higher. So here, to check the version or to check if Node.js is installed on your system, you can go to command line. I'm pressing the Windows key and I'm typing cmd. It brings me this command prompt option and I hit enter. I am on my command prompt. So I will just say node space -- version, or I can also say node space -v. This will show me the node version if it is installed. And if node is installed, you will also find npm. You can say npm space -v. This is node package manager. And in case you get the version number, that means node is installed on a system, you can just check if it is version 12.16.1 or higher. In case it is not installed, you will see this message. It is not recognized as an internal or external command. So in my case, on Windows, it is not installed. Let me check on my Mac. So I will go to my terminal and I will say node space -v and it is there. And if I say npm space -v, I will get the version of npm as well. So on my Mac, it is there. I will have to install it on my Windows system. Now, just in case you have Node, you can skip to the next part. You can check the timeline and then skip. I will show you all the ways how you can install or set up Node.js. So it will be good if you know all these ways. So you will have to go to your browser and go to google.com. And here, just search for Node.js download. It will show you this link for Node.js. And here you can see we have got Windows installer, Mac installer, and source code as well. Now, if you see here, I need to set it up on Windows. So for Windows installer, we have Windows installer and Windows binary. That is a zip folder. And we have this for 32-bit and 64-bit. Most of the times you will need 64-bit, and you can also check on your system when you go to your My Computer or this PC, do a right click and go to properties. You will find the system type. In my case, it is 64-bit operating system. So most of the times 64-bit should work. So I can get either the Windows installer or Windows binary of 64-bit. Now I will show you both the ways. If I get the Windows installer, it will be installed. I can just run the installer and it will be installed like any program, and I will not have to do any manual setup. And if I take the binary, that is a zip folder, I will have to unzip, put it at some location on my system, and then I will also have to set the path environment variable. I will show you both the ways. As of now, I have downloaded the installer. I will go to the folder where it's downloaded. It is in my downloads folder, and I'll just run the installer. And I will say next. And you can read and accept the agreement and say next. And here is the location. It by default goes to C program files, Node.js. If you want, you can change this location and press next. Now here you can see it is setting up the path and all these details. So I will not have to manually do any of these things. I will press next and install. So this will do the installation of Node.js on this system. And once this is installed, we will check. So this is done. I will say finish. Now, if I go to the same command prompt and if I run the same command, node space -v, I am still getting node is not recognized. And this is because this command prompt is maintaining the earlier session. So I will exit from here and open a new command line. And now I will check node space -v and npm space -v. And now all this is installed on my system. Now, at this moment, if I go to my environment variables, you can go to the environment variables by pressing your Windows button and bringing up this and start typing environment, and you will see this option, edit environment variables. You can go from here, or you can just do a right click on my computer or this PC, go to properties, and then go to advanced system settings. And here we have environment variables. So if I go to system environment variables, or you can also check in user environment variables, there is a path environment variable. In my case, I will check in systems environment variable and go to path and click on edit. You will see at the end, it has added the location of the Node.js folder. So this is done automatically, but if I do the setup manually using the zip folder, I will have to manually do this. So let me show you that as well. I'm just coming out of these windows and I will first remove Node.js. So I will go to Windows, add or remove programs. And here I will search for Node and here it is. I will click here and say uninstall, and this will uninstall Node.js from the system. And I will also check from the command line. So this is done. If I go to a new command prompt and I say node space -v, and you can see now I do not have Node on my system. So now if I try to do it from this zip folder, you can click here and it will download a zip folder. In my case, it is already downloaded here. You can see this is the one. So the first thing I will do is I will unzip it and keep it at any location on my system. So I will do a right click and say extract all. And I want to keep it on my, let's say, I will see where I have more space. I am going to keep it on my, let's say my D drive, and I have a tools folder. I will keep it here. So I'll just select this folder and say extract. So this will unzip and keep the folder on my D drive. And after it is extracted, if you want, you can rename the folder, that is allowed. And then you will have to set the location of that folder in the path environment variable. So let's see. Let the unzipping, let me wait for this unzipping to be completed. Okay. So this is now, this is done. I will check. I will go to my D drive, tools, and I have got this folder here. Now, as I said, if you want, you can rename it. So I just want to rename it to some simple name. So I will rename this. I will say Node.js. And now, so it is, I have just kept a Node.js folder on my system. I have not yet set the environment variable. So if at this time, I will go to command line and say node space -v, I am still not getting the version of Node. So for that, I will have to copy this, the location of this folder, and go to the environment variables and go to the path environment variable and click on edit. Now here you have to be very careful. Do not delete what is already there. Just in case you are using some older version of Windows operating system, you may be getting a single text box and all these paths will be there. In that case, what you have to do is, let me show you. Just in case you are using an old operating system and you see all this in a single text box, let's say you will have multiple paths here. You will have to go to the end, take your cursor to the end, do not delete what is already there, put a semicolon and just add the path of Node.js and save it. So make sure you do not delete anything, and most probably you will be seeing something like this. So here I will click on new and just add the path of Node.js. So this is added here and say okay and okay and come out. And now if I open a new command prompt and say node space -v, I'm getting the version of Node, and npm space -v, I'm getting the version of npm, that is Node Package Manager. So this completes our Node.js setup. And the second software we need is the IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment. So wherever you want to create your project, or where you will do the coding, where you will write the scripts, where you will run the test, so that is called as the IDE. And you can use any IDE where you can do JavaScript coding, or where you can create JavaScript projects. If you are already using some IDE, that is fine, you can continue with that. But if you're not using, you can use VS Code. That is what I'm going to use. So here you can go to your browser. In case you are not having VS Code, you can just go to your browser and say Visual Studio Code download, and this will take you to this link to download Visual Studio Code. And here you can see you can download Visual Studio Code or VS Code for Windows, Linux, Mac, and here you can use the system installer. So if you use a system installer, it will install VS Code for all the users on this system. If you use a user installer, it will install for your specific user. And just in case you want more details, you can go on my website, that is automationstepbystep.com. And here, just in case you are new to VS Code, you can go here, and if you scroll down, you will find a section called IDE and editors, and here is Visual Studio Code. This link will take you to my YouTube playlist on VS Code, and here I have few videos. So here I have what is VS Code, and then VS Code for beginners, learn VS Code in 7 steps for Windows and Mac operating system. So here I have explained step by step how do you get VS Code, and then the basic setup and all the components of VS Code. So you can watch this if you are completely new, and then you will have VS Code on your system. So these are the 2 software requirements we need for WebdriverIO. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this screen as well and keep it handy with you. Now, once we have got our prerequisites done, we will start with the project setup and then WebdriverIO installation. Here, step number 1 is we will create a new folder and then open the folder in our IDE. In my case, it is VS Code. So let's do that. I will go here. I will go to my folders. So I'm going to my E drive. You can create a folder anywhere on your system. And here I have a folder for projects. I'm going to create a new folder here. So I will create a new folder for WebdriverIO. You can name it anything. And inside this folder, I want to keep all my WebdriverIO projects here. So I have created a parent folder, and here I'm creating a folder for my project. So I will go to new and say folder, and I will say WebdriverIO project 1. You can name it anything. This is what I have named it, WebdriverIO for underscore project underscore 1. So now I will have to open it in VS Code. So open your VS Code. If you have got this desktop shortcut, you can open it from here, or you can press the Windows button and search for start typing Visual Studio, and you will get this option. You can open it from here. And then here we have these sections here. So we have Explorer, where you will get all your project folders and files, your tree structure of your project. Then to search something, you can go to search. Here we have source control. If you have to put your project on a repository, source control management, Git, GitHub, all that can be done from here. We have a run and debug option section. Here we have extensions section. So if you want to add any extension, you can just search for the extension here. Let's say I want to search for JavaScript. It will list out all the JavaScript related extensions, and then I can just click on it and click on install from here. Then here is a testing section. So as of now, we just need to go to the Explorer, and here we will also, if you want to change the theme dark or light of Visual Studio Code, you can go to the settings from here, and from here you can go to the color themes, and then you can set the light or dark theme. So to open the folder, you can go to file, and then we have this option open folder, or you can just click on this open folder and you can browse your folder, or the third way is you can just drag and drop your folder here in VS Code, and you will have this folder open, and it will ask, do you trust this folder and author? You can say yes. If it asks, you can just say yes, and we have got our folder added here. Okay, so we have done step number 1. Now we will open the terminal in VS Code and then we will run some commands, and I will tell you what all these commands mean. So to open the terminal, you can go to the menu here on the top that says terminal, and then we have this option, new terminal. And you can also press Control and backtick key on your keyboard to open the terminal. And here we have got the terminal opened. And if you notice, it opened the terminal on our project folder. So we have to run all the commands from our project folder. Just in case you want to run the command from outside VS Code using a command line or a terminal, that is all allowed, but then you should first change the location of the terminal to your project folder. Let me just show you. Let's say I go to my command prompt. Now here my command prompt is on C drive. So first I have to change the drive because my project is on E drive. So I will first say E colon. You can press, you can give E in uppercase or lowercase and say colon. And now it is changed to E drive. And then I will say CD. CD is for change directory and space. And then I will have to give the location of my project folder, which is this. And then I will say CD space. And I will give the location and press enter. And you can now see that location of command prompt is changed to my project folder. The other way is, a shortcut for Windows is, you can manually go to your project folder here, and then on this address bar, you can say CMD and press enter. It will open command prompt on the same folder. So this is how you can do if you have to run the commands from outside VS Code, but I will suggest if you are using VS Code, this is a very good option to use the terminal. So here, first we will run the command npm init -y. You can say npm init, and then you can choose the options, or you can just go by the default options by saying -y. Now this command will start a node project on the folder, on the current folder, and that will help us. It will create a package.json file, and that file will have all the details about the project, all the libraries, all the setups, everything. And it will also help us to keep all the libraries, all the node libraries that we add to the project within that folder, and will keep our system clean. So let's do that. I will say npm init space -y and press enter. And you can see it has started a node project, and it has also created package.json file here. And if you see the package.json file here, we have all these details. We have the name of the project, version, description. If you want to give, you can give here. Then we have some scripts and then keywords. When you add, when we will add the libraries, node libraries like WebdriverIO and other libraries, all will come here under the dependencies section. So we have done this. The next command we will run is npm init wdio. Now, if you want, you can directly run this command npm init wdio. It will also run the npm init, and then along with that, we'll set up wdio, that is WebdriverIO, but we are doing it in 2 steps. So that is also fine. So now I will say, I can clear the terminal, and then I will say npm init wdio and hit enter. Now, when you do this, it will start the WebdriverIO setup. So you can see it has started here, and it says WebdriverIO next gen browser and mobile automation test framework for Nodejs. And now it will ask us for some options. If you want to go with all the default options, you can also give the -y option along with this command, but we don't want, we want to see all the options, all the choices we want to check and then confirm. So we will wait and just wait for a few seconds. It will do the setup, and then it will ask us for some choices. So here you can see it is asking us for some choices here. First, it says a project named WebdriverIO project 1 was detected at this location. And you can press Y for yes, or if you just press enter, it will take the first option by default. So I'm pressing enter here. Now it says, where should your test be launched? You can press the arrow keys to go up or down and select the option, I will go with local and press enter. Then where is your automation backend located? I will just go with default, that is on my local machine. Then which framework do you want to use? So we have three options: Mocha, Jasmine, and Cucumber. Mocha is the most commonly used framework, and it is also used in other JavaScript platforms as well. And Cucumber you can use if you want to do BDD style of testing. We will see Cucumber later, but as of now, I will just go with Mocha. Then it says, do you want to use a compiler? I will just go with default, no. Do you want WebdriverIO to auto-generate some test files? You can just press enter, that will be taken as yes. Where should these files be located? I will go by default. I'll go with this default location. So I will press enter. Do you want to use page objects? So I'll just press enter, that means yes. We will learn about page objects later, but as of now, just let it be. Let's go with the default. Where are your page objects located? Enter. And then here, which reporter do you want to use? So here you can select if you want to use what reporters you want to use. You can press multiple. You can just go and click space, press space to select the option. If you want to select all, you can press A, and I is to invert the selection. So let us see. We have allure, JUnit, concise, wido, JSON, Cucumber, JSON, Mocha, awesome, timeline. There are so many options here, team, city, etc. So spec is already selected. I will go with this, as well as I will select allure. I will also show you what are the steps to set up allure report separately, but as of now, I'm selecting allure. I will press space here and press enter. So we selected spec and allure. Now here, do you want to add a plugin to your test setup? I'll just go with default, wait for. Then here we have options to add these services, Chrome driver, Gecko driver, etc. I'll just go with Chrome and I'll select Gecko driver as well and press enter. And enter. Do you want me to run the npm install? So these are all the choices. When I now press enter, it will start the installation of all these libraries. So this should be pretty fast. It will be based on your network connection, but generally it is fast. Should take a couple of seconds. So this is almost done. And you can see everything is done, and we have got our WebdriverIO project set up and ready. So you can also see successfully set up project at this location. You can see some links for community, GitHub pages here. This is the GitHub page for WebdriverIO. To run the test, you can just run this command npm run wdio. We will see all this. So for now, let us see our project. And if I go to the package.json file now, you can see here all these dependencies are added. So we have got our WebdriverIO, CLI, allure reporter, local runner, Mocha framework, spec reporter, Chrome driver, Gecko driver, all the choices that we had selected all have come here. And here, if you now go to the project folder, here you can see there is a folder called node modules. So all these node modules, all the libraries that we have added will be stored here in this folder, which is a subfolder of our project folder. So that means it is here, and it will not interfere with any other library on our system and will keep our system clean. And that is why we started our node project by using the command npm init-y. Okay. Now, you will also see there is a test folder created, and under the test folder, we have page objects folder and spec folder. If you go to the specs folder, you will see there is a JS file created. It is our test file. And if you click on this, you can see a sample WebdriverIO test is created. Now, do not worry if you do not understand this test. We will learn how to create the test, but just to show you, this is a sample test which is created, and we can also run this test. Also, you will see a configuration file called wdio.conf.js created. This is our configuration file, and it is very important. You can see all the configurations that we selected are here. So here you can see this is the location of the spec files. That means location of our test files. So if you want, you can change this. So it says that all the test files should go in the test specs folder, which is this one. And the file naming convention is this. It should be any name and a .js extension. So whatever file you create under the spec folder with a .js extension will be considered as a test files. If you want to exclude some test files, you can put the location here. Then you can see max instances. That means 10 instances can run in parallel. If you want, you can change this. Let us say I will say change this to 5. Then you can see the other capabilities, the timeouts, and all this log level is here. Then we have the base URL. You can see the wait for timeout. This is in milliseconds. 10,000 milliseconds means 10 seconds. Connection retry timeout is here. Then you can see the frameworks are here. Reporters are here. So you can see we selected spec and allure. Both have come here. The configuration has come here. And all these configurations will be here. So this is our configuration file. And then we have seen all these. So our project is created. Our project is set up. And now next is, we have already done this. We have selected the options after running this command npm init wdio. And now if you want, you can check the version of WebdriverIO by using this command npm ls WebdriverIO. This is optional just to check. So let's say I go to my terminal again, and I will say, I'll clear and say npm ls WebdriverIO. So this will show me all my WebdriverIO and the versions. Okay. So we have done this. We have also checked our configuration file is created. Now, if you want to run the tests which are already present, we can run them by running this command npx wdio run and the name or the location of the configuration file. So let me show you. I will say npx. We use npx to run the npm commands in the local folder. Npx run wdio and the config file. So I will say wd and press tab. It should autocomplete the name and press enter, and it will run all the tests which are present in the spec folder. Why is it saying me? Okay, I did it wrong. I will press Control C and come out. It is npx wdio run and then the config file. So let's check this. It has started. Execution of one worker started, and it should open the browser. And yes, it has gone to the URL and it is doing the login. So this was a login test, and it is done. You can see it says one passed and completed. So this test that is already present here, this is a login test. So it is done. And now the other command, that is npm run wdio, is actually the same command. And let me show you. If you go to your package.json file, here you will see a section called scripts. And here we can put any command and give it a name. For example, this command echo error no test specified, it is added here, and it is given a name called test. Now, if we want to run this command, we can just say npm run and give this name, that is test. So let me show you. If I say, I will go to the terminal, and if I say npm run test and hit enter, you can see it is running the command echo error no test specified, and this is getting executed. And in the same way, if I say npm run wdio, so it will go here. This is wdio, and it will run this command wdio run and the config file, which is actually this command. When we run this command standalone, we have to use npx. Otherwise, we can just say npm run and the name of the command in the script section. So if I run this, it will run the same command. So it has started the execution. It opens the browser, goes to the application and logs in and stops. So everything is completed. Okay. So this is how we can do the project setup, and it is very easy, very straightforward. You just have to run a couple of commands and everything is taken care of. So this is how easy and straightforward it is. And if you have to run a specific file, then we can use the same command, that is this one. And along with this, we can say --spec and give the location of the spec file or the test file. I will show you this later. And all these notes will be there in the description section. If you want, you can copy the commands from there, or you can see all the steps in the description section. Okay, so now let us move to how to create tests. Okay, here step number 1 is we will first create a new file under the spec folder. So let's go to our spec folder, which is here, and I will select the folder. And after selecting the folder, you can either press here, this icon that says new file, or you can just do a right click on the specs folder and say new file. And I can give any name. I will say test1.js or test1.spec.js. And we have got this file opened. This is a JavaScript file. And here we will now create a test. So the first thing I will do is I will create a describe block, and this comes from the Mocha testing framework. You can see as I'm typing describe, it is showing me this option. This is coming from the Mocha framework. So I'll say describe and brackets. And then within the brackets, I will give a title. You can see the format here as well. I will give the title within quotes. I will say demo tests. So describe block can have multiple tests inside it. So I'm just saying these, all the demo tests will be here, and then give a comma, and then we will do a function declaration. So I will say function and a bracket start and stop, and then a curly bracket start and stop. And I can move the stop brackets in the next line. So this is a describe block, and this is the format, and this is coming from Mocha library. And if you have used other JavaScript frameworks like Playwright or Cypress, there also we use this kind of a formatting for creating the test cases. So this is a describe block. It can have multiple test blocks, and for the test block we use it. So it, and you can again see it is coming from the Mocha library, and the syntax is same. I will use the brackets. In the brackets, I will give the name of the test. I will say my first test, and then again comma, and then a function declaration. So I'll say function bracket start and stop, and then curly bracket start and stop. You can press enter and the stop brackets will move to the next line. And if you want to set the formatting, you can do a right click and say format document. It will correct all the formatting. Okay, so this is how we create a test function in WebdriverIO. Now, also the function declaration, you can do it like this, or you can just say, instead of writing function, you can just give a bracket start and stop and create an arrow symbol by using equals sign and greater than symbol, and this will also work. So you can also use this way of declaring a function. Now inside this function, so we have created the file, and now we will add the scripts using the Mocha blocks. We have already done this. We have created describe and it blocks. Now, in this test, what I am going to do is I will go to google.com, and then I will enter something in the search box and then hit enter. So for that, I will say browser. Now you can see as I'm typing browser, I'm getting this auto suggestion. If I press enter, it is coming from some other library which is supported browser runner presets. I don't need this. So make sure you remove this if you also get this. And what I will do is type browser, and to remove this auto suggestion, I will press escape key on my keyboard. And then I will say .url. And then in brackets within quotes, I will give the URL, that is https://google.com. Okay, so this will open the browser and go to this link, google.com. Let us try this. So for trying this, I will go to my terminal, and here I will say I'm just using the option npx wdio run and the config file name. And here I want to run a specific test, that is this test one. So I will say --spec and give the name of the test file. So because I am on the project folder, I will first have to go to the test folder, then specs folder, and then test1.spec.js. So I will say test. Now I'm just pressing TES and press tab. It should auto-complete. Then I'm typing SP and pressing tab on my keyboard. It auto-completes specs. And then I will say TE and again press tab. It auto-completes the name, and I will hit enter. So let's see, it should start. It should open the browser. And yes, and it goes to google.com and it is completed. So that's all I'm doing as of now. Now, the next step is, you can also, if you want to pause, you can say browser.pause and pause for 2000 milliseconds. That means 2 seconds. So next step is, I have to search this search box. I have to identify or locate this search box and type something here. So for that, I will have to find the locators, the properties of this text box, this search box, and then create a locator. So I will do a right click on this search box and say inspect. And this will open the DOM of this page. And you can see this highlighted part is for this search box. And here we have some properties. It is of type input. It has a class property, then it has max length, and it has a name property. I will take this name. The name here is Q. So this is what I will use. So I will say $. Now here, $ is to find a single object on the page. And if you have to find multiple objects or an array of objects, we can use a $$ symbol. So I will say $, and then in brackets, within quotes, I will give a square bracket start and stop. And here I will say name equals, and within double quotes, I will give the name value, which is Q. And this will identify or locate that particular object. And after locating that, I want to set value. So we use the function set value. Now, just in case you want to see the different functions we have, you can just go to WebdriverIO. I'll go to set value, and it will take you to the documentation where you can find the other functions as well. So you can see $ and $, here, add value, clear value, click, double click, drag and drop. All these functions are here, and we are using set values as of now. Set value. I will say set value, and whatever you want to type, you can give here. So I will just say I want to type WebdriverIO, and that's it. Let us try this. If this works, I will go to the terminal, save your file. You can just press Ctrl S or Command S if you are on Mac. Go to the terminal, and I'm pressing the up arrow to bring the earlier commands. And this is what I want to run. I will press enter, and let's see. So this starts the execution. It opens the browser, goes to google.com, and I think it did not enter WebdriverIO. Let me see. Yes, there was an error. It says request failed with status 404 due to invalid session ID. Invalid session ID, I believe in the latest version of WebdriverIO, we have to use async and await. So for that, just in the it block, declaration of it block, add the async command here, async function, and then where we are finding the object, we will give await. Okay, so this will return a promise. don't worry about these. I will explain this later in some session. But as of now, if you are also getting this error, you can just add async here and then await here. Let's now run and check again. So I'm running the last command. And it starts the browser, and yes, it has typed, it was very fast, but it has typed WebdriverIO in the search box. And after this, I have to click on the search button. So I have to click here, Google search. So let me get the locator for this as well. I will right click and go to inspect. And here, if I see the properties, it has class and it has value, it has name. So it also has name called btnk. Let me use this one. So I'll just copy this and here I will say name is btnk, and then here the function I want to use is click. So that's it. I will save and run the last command. So it starts the execution, and let's just see, it opens the browser, goes to google.com, types WebdriverIO, and yes, this time it has clicked on the Google search button. Now, just in case you want to manually press the enter key, this is what we normally do. We type something here and then just press the enter key when we are manually searching something. If you want to do the same thing, we can do that as well. For that, I can say browser.keys, and then I will say enter. So this is equivalent to pressing the enter key on the keyboard. And I will comment this statement. I have selected this. I just selected, I put my cursor here and press control and / on my keyboard. And if you do control / again, it will uncomment. So I'm commenting this line. So it will just press enter after adding this text on the search box. So let me run the command again. Make sure that you save your work and let us run again. So it opens the browser, types WebdriverIO, and yes, it pressed the enter key, and now it has stopped and closed the browser. So we have created the test and we have executed the test. So this is what we have done. I will also put all this in the description section and you can check from there. And we have already seen we use $sign to find single web element and $sign to find multiple web elements. We will see more examples in the coming session, and then we can see more options and more functions as well. Now to run test, we have already seen all these options, all these commands we have already seen. We have seen this one and then this one and this one for running a specific test file. So this is done. Now how to generate and view reports. And for this, we will use allure reports. Now here, if you have already selected the allure report option while we were doing the setup of WebdriverIO, you will see that in your package.json file, there is already this library added, that is allure reporter. And in your configuration file, if you search, I'm doing Control F, and if you search for reporters, you will see this configuration for allure reports is already added. But just in case you did not select it during the starting of the project, you can just run this command. So let me also show you. If you search for WebdriverIO allure reporter, you can go to this link, and this has all the details. So this is how the allure reports looks like. This is what we are going to generate. And here, if you go to this installation, this is the command. You can copy from here as well. This is the same command that I have shown here. And when you run this command on the terminal, this will add the allure reporter dependency in your package.json file. So this is step number 1. Then we have to add the reporter configuration in our configuration file. And again, if you have not done this during the initial setup, you will have to come here to your configuration file, go to reporters, and you will have to add this. This also is present here. If you see, this is present here. This is what you will have to add. Make sure of the syntax and the brackets and all these things. Let me show you. This is how it will look like if I put it in a new line. So this is our allure report. You can do a right click and say format document. So we need this part. Okay. If spec is already there after the comma, this is what we need. And even if you want to remove spec, that is fine. This is what we need. And as of now, we just need the output directory. So this says where will the result files will be created. And we do not need other things as of now. Here it is. Here we have disable WebDriver, steps reporting true, disable WebDriver, screenshots reporting true. As of now, we don't need it. We will see this later if required, but just we need the output directory for now. And after setting this, whenever you run your tests next, it will generate a folder called allure results and will put all the result files there. In my case, it is already there because we had done this setup initially. So you can see a folder called allure results is created and it has a lot of JSON files. And these are JSON files, but we need to generate a HTML report. So for that, you will have to add one more library. So step number 3, we have already done. And in case you have just added the allure reports, you can run your test once more and you can see that the folder, the allure results folder, whatever name you have given here, is generated after you run the tests. Then we have to install allure command line tool. And for that, you can run this command and you can check it here as well. If you scroll down, you can see all these options: output directory, disable WebDriver, steps reporting, then all these options you can use later on. Add features, add label, add story, add severity. And if you scroll down, you will see this. To display the report, we will have to add command line tool. You can go to this link, add allure command line tool. And here you can copy this command, npm I allure command line. So I'll just copy this and I will paste it here. Now this will install allure command line, and just in case you want to install it under the dev dependencies, we use the -- save dev flag. So if you see in your package.json file, all these are added as dev dependencies, and that is because we have used this flag -- save -dev. Now, if you want to know what is the meaning of this, what are the details and all the meanings of this package.json file sections, you can check my video. I have created a video for what is package.json, and if you search with my name, you will get this video, what is package.json. I have explained all these sections and everything here. So if you are interested, you can watch this. So I will run this command and let's see. So you can see it is added, and I think it was already there on my system, so that is fine. So you can see allure command line is here. Now after this, we have to run two commands: allure generate and the name of the allure results folder. This will generate the allure report folder, which will have the allure report. And to view the allure report, we will say allure open. So let's say I will say allure generate, and I will just say ALL and press tab. It should auto complete. I have to give a space here, and it will auto complete the name and press enter. Okay, I think there is some issue. It says allure term is not recognized. Okay, let us try to run this command for allure install with the -g option, which will install it globally. So yes, this is now getting set up, and this is what we have done, -G. And now I will say allure generate, and I will say this folder, and let's see, it should generate a folder called allure reports. And yes, you can see it has generated this folder, allure report. And if you see this, it has got our HTML report file. But to see the file, we will run allure open. So let's say allure open and hit enter. And yes, we have got this report. We had executed 2 tests, everything is fine. We have these my login application and demo tests. You can see the trend. As of now, we don't have any trend. We have to run it multiple times to see the trend. If I go to the demo test, this is my first test. I can see all the history and retries and overview and the result and all the details here. This is my login application test. And here again, I can see all the details. I can see the graphs here, which shows me failed, broken, passed, failed, skipped, severity, duration, duration trend, and all the other graphs which will come over time. And once we set up everything, we will have it. We have timelines here, we have behaviors, we have packages. So we have got our allure report generated. And this is how we generate the allure report. And this is the same link for this page. You can see all the details for allure reporter on WebdriverIO here. So with this, we are able to generate our report, and I hope this was very useful. If I create any quizzes, I will put the link in the description section. You will find all the notes, all the links in the description section. If you face any issues, you can let me know in the comment section. I read all my comments and I will reply to you. I hope this was very useful. I will see you in the next session. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.